Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Cup of Joe with Joe and Joe. I am your host, Joe, and with me, as always, is my wonderful co-host, Joe.
Oh, I think I burnt my tongue a little on that one.
You got a piping hot cup of Joe with you, Joe?
Oh yeah, that's that, and it's in like the insulated mug, which normally I don't use for this, but I can. That definitely burnt my tongue.
I can't believe I haven't made I haven't said you had a cup of Joe with you for the entirety of this podcast yet, which I find to be a failure on my part. I think that, or it's just
I,
I was holding off on doing the dad jokes for
you,
up until now.
we're so used to being exposed to Cup of Joe, you don't even need to say it. It doesn't even cross your mind. It's just kind of implied. Ooh, Joe,
Exactly.
did you hear that?
Here, what did you? What
Did you
happened?
hear? I had like a rumble in the jungle, man. I wasn't sure if the mic picked that up.
What?
It was
Did your
like,
stomach rumble?
oh, it rumbled, but it felt like the whole earth was shaking.
Jesus, all right. You ate before this, right?
Yeah, man. Chicken, rice, veggies, oof, and a nice bowl of oatmeal squares.
Ooh,
Mm.
ooh, that takes me back. That takes me back to the age old 2017, where we had a Filipino Chicago man constantly in our dorm eating all of our oatmeal squares.
And busting out things of orange juice like it was nobody's business.
So many jugs of orange juice. Where did he
Out of
get them? The
nowhere. Out
world will
of
never
nowhere.
know. Yeah,
It doesn't make sense.
no, it doesn't. All right. So welcome back, everyone, to Cup of Joe, Joe and Joe. This is the movie edition once again, keeping that three split thingamadoo with the movies and then the comics and then the anime and the habita. Joe, we need to give a quick little thanks to a fellow podcast group. I say fellow in a very loose term because they are podcasters, but they are considerably larger than us. I listen to the Weekly Planet podcast on the Weekly Planet YouTube channel. Some people may know him better as Mr. Sunday Movies. He does both. He wears many a hats. He does YouTube. He does podcasting. He's a father of at least two, maybe more. Probably not more, but maybe. But so I sent in a little audio thingamajig because I asked for that last week. And they were going to select two this week. They selected one, and it was one that they had screened. And I listened to that, and I was like, okay, so that wasn't mine. But then the underdog comes back, baby. And they were like, okay, and now we're going to just pick one completely random. And Joe, they were just like, all right, so this next one's from Joe. And I was like, okay, there could be plenty of Joes. But in the email that I sent to them, because they said it should only be about 30 seconds, they were just like, they should, it should only be about 30 seconds, and mine was like 33, 34. So I sent them an email that said, sorry for the massive inconvenience, it's about 3 seconds too long. And they read that part, and I was like, oh, that's me. That's me. And then they played my thing, and I heard my voice on their podcast, and I may have plugged our podcast in that podcast, and then left a comment from my YouTube channel on them being like, hey, thank you very much. This was so nice. I love you guys. I love you guys a whole lot. And yeah, so thank you to the Weekly Planet. Yeah, that's all I had to say. That I like those guys a lot. And if anyone who listens to this doesn't also listen to them, you would like theirs probably considerably a lot more than ours because it's far better and they have Australian accents. So listen to us and then listen to them.
I like that. I like that a lot. Definitely, come to us first, and then, throw them a bone. They probably need the help.
They have a subscription service. It's called Big Sandwich. I'm done plugging them. They only plugged me for like 2 minutes, but they were very nice. I love them. So yeah, watch them. It's all wonderful, nerdy comic book podcasting stuff. Okay, so Joe, if you recall, what was the movie that we were watching for today?
Super 8 is the movie.
Yeah, baby. Okay, real quick, give us. I'm gonna actually time you. I'm getting the timer ready. Okay, timer's ready. In about 30 seconds, I want you to just do a quick recap of the movie. On my mark, ready, and Mark.
Oh, I'm gonna beat you, Joe. I can just put it in one sentence.
Oh, all right.
Stranger Things, the movie. That's it.
Shit, ladies and gentlemen, he done did it. Yeah, pretty pretty much. The Super 8. It's a J.J. Abrams film produced by Steven Spielberg. It is essentially a love letter to films like E.T. and let's give it a think. There are some other. It's just Spielberg films, really, like early Spielbergian type things, and I think it is the number one, the modern day E.T. movie, and number two, the superior E.T. movie. Thoughts, Joe?
That's a bold statement.
Yes, it
Um,
is.
yeah, it's funny because I wanted to say this to you. Um, so when you said this movie, we were like, "Oh, we're watching Super 8." I was like, "Oh yeah, I know that movie. I've seen a couple like scenes of that. I've seen some of it before." I got movie names mixed up. I was thinking of the movie Chronicle with like Michael B. Jordan,
Oh, right.
and I was
And
like,
Dane DeHaan.
yeah, I'm like, oh yeah, I know that movie. And then this movie started. I'm like, I have no clue. I completely misunderstood. Which like I had no clue what I was thinking. Um, but yeah, this is
That's cool though.
basically yeah. It was an interesting thing because after the movie, I was like, what movie was I thinking about? And so I had to search live action movie where teenagers get superpowers, and Chronicle popped up. I'm like, that's it.
That's the one. Thank God I was able to find that. Also, a good movie that we may one day do on this. But yeah, so did you? All right, real quick, let's because if people haven't already figured it out, the movies that we pick are generally movies that we really enjoy. At least one of the Joes do. We're not going to tell you which one. Um, so, what did you actually think of this movie once you started getting into it and it was something, you know, not Chronicle?
Oh, I enjoyed it. Like, it's one of the like I will say it. No, I'm not gonna start off on like a negative thing. We're
You
we're
could.
we're we're,
You
we're
could. I
starting
did
out
that with
positive.
Rocky.
This, you know
Okay.
what?
Okay.
So, I enjoyed it. I really did. It was funny because it was that first 5 minutes of realizing, okay, this is not the movie I thought it was. What
Where's
is this
Michael B.
movie?
Jordan?
I'm like, wait a minute. Like, I'm like, this is very different than what I was thinking of. And but sitting down and actually watching it, I was like, oh, I'm like, I kind of like that I don't have any clue what it's about. Um, but literally after the first like inciting incident, I guess you want to call it, I was like, oh my god, this is Stranger Things before Stranger Things was a thing. Um, it was Stranger Things before Stranger Things was strange.
Correct. I yes. Yeah, I'll say yes to that. When you say inciting incident, does it involve a train?
Yeah, the train crash. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, just like it's funny because like there's so many motifs in this movie, and it's funny watching it now because this is older than a lot of the things that I in my mind I was referencing it to. Like I was like,
Like
oh my
Stranger
goodness,
Things.
like Stranger Things. I mean, it. I mean, it's technically older if you're looking at it from the book and the first movie, yada yada yada. Um, but yeah, there's like this very not stereotypical, but you can pick it
Familiar.
up. Yeah, familiar. And you said you described it as Spielberg, which is basically what it is. Where it's that 70s, 80s setting. It's super retro. That was one of my favorite things in the movie. I loved everything retro about it. This setting
It's
was
so
great.
nice.
I liked it
Yeah.
better than Stranger Things retro setting. Would you
Okay.
agree?
Okay. I think it's not nearly played as much. Like in Stranger Things, the setting of it being the 80s is almost a character in and of itself, where everything it's like dripping 80s nostalgia, and it's just like shoving things in your face like, oh my god, do you remember this, do you remember that, look at this arcade, look at the spinning neon signs that we have in here, look at all the kids playing D&D. I don't know, that's an 80s thing that just kind of came into the spiel of what I was going on with. but the setting for this, it's a little bit more subdued. Like, I guess what I mean by that is that it makes sense for what it is in the story, because like the name of the film, Super 8, is reference to the actual cameras that they use to film little movies. That's what the plot. We haven't actually said anything about the plot. Spoilers for the plot of Super 8 for anyone who's made it this far and cares. The plot is there are like a ragtag group of friends that are in middle school, I think. They're like middle school age.
They're either in
And
middle school or they're like freshmen in high school.
yeah, they're real young is what we're getting at. They're like beginning of the teenage years sort of a thing.
Yeah.
And they're all like different members of well, they all play a part in creating like a little movie. Like the main character Joe, which I'll get to Joe in a second because I might want to bring him into the League of Joes. Joe, we're gonna start building our own Justice League. Uh, but like Joe he makes models and does makeup and he's real good at that. And then the other friend is the director, and then Carrie is Michael Bay. And they have a few actor friends and people that work cameras and lights and stuff like that. But it's like a group of there's like 5 or 6. I think there's 5 friends in total, but really it only focuses on 2. And then a girl Joe. Oh no, that comes in later on. Where was I going with this? Please explain to me what I was doing. I can't remember. My train of thought just complete. Oh, train. How about that? How about
That's
Joe? How about that?
that's some Joe to Joe telepathy.
Are you having a stroke? Are you okay?
We
I'm
gotta have
calling
one.
911.
We don't have one each podcast.
Yep, one of us does apparently. Trains. So first thing that I have in my notes that as I'm looking at it is just train go boom, and I did boom really big.
I was trying. I'm gonna spit my coffee. Oh my god! Train go boom boom.
Train go big bada boom. Because it really like that scene of the train
It's
exploding,
awesome.
it's amazing, and it
Dude.
goes on for so long.
I know. I wanted to. That was the one thing I wanted to text you about. I wanted to be like, this scene is ridiculous. Like, I couldn't tell if I liked how long it went and how like, because I don't know. I don't know what it was, but like, just seeing them run, like the kids, they do it like so nonchalantly. They're like, oh, there's trains falling everywhere. Who, going for
Yeah,
a
yeah,
jog?
yeah.
And I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, I don't know. It was just really funny seeing all this crazy stuff happen, and then they're just like casually like running away. It was hilarious.
I think it's the faces, because like some of the kids, when on their faces, they weren't like scared shitless. I guess. In like later on in the movie, when there's another scene of them, like it's when their hometown, is being rolled in by the military and like tanks are firing and there's just like guns going off everywhere. Then you kind of feel like, oh, we're in the thick of it now. But when the train explosion happens, it's more so because I'd imagine most of it would probably be like on a set or like green screened, unless JJ was comfortable enough just letting these kids run around the explosions, which would be amazing, and also not something that would ever happen. But I would love it if the director was just like, all right, we're gonna blow some shit up, don't get hurt, go action. That would be the cool. I'm gonna be that director one day. I'm gonna make a movie and then I'm gonna get the shit suit out of me. Anyway, train go boom, which is the inciting incident, and we see that the train doesn't just go boom on its own. The main character Joe, he's doing the sound recording for the film that they're making, and he looks over for whatever reason as the train's going by, and he just sees a truck driving on, and it does this wicked little, like, the tail kind of like spins out from behind it right as it gets onto the track, and it straightens out, and then it just ramming speed into the train, and then for the next, it's probably only like a minute, maybe 90 seconds, but still, like, an explosion only lasts it happens, explosion, boom. This thing, it's like car crumples into the front of the train buckles, all the carts like crunch into each other, and then it just goes everywhere. All the carts are flying every which way. My favorite part is when there's one of the carts comes unhinged and goes flying through the house that they were filming at, utterly demolishing it. Like if any of the kids were still standing there, they would have been nothing but like half of a charred skeleton.
Yeah, I like that part a lot. I thought that was really funny because I think some of them, like one of them, for some reason I thought one of them hid underneath there, but I was like, oh my God. Between just destroying the little train station thing and then also when Joe's running and he sees the explosive tank, he's like, uh-oh. And then just
Oh, and
turns
then, yeah,
around and bolts the other way.
time to go. That felt very like Iron Man esque. Like if you remember the beginning of Iron
Yup,
Man, where
yup.
it's he pulls out his little sideways BlackBerry piece of shit, and the missile lands next to him, and he looks over at it, and the camera does a cheeky little zoom in to Stark Industries, and then he's like, "Argh!" He gets up and he backs away, and then it explodes, and I'm like, it's kind of funny like that. It looked similar. Um, but yeah, so train go boom, the inciting incident, and Joe, what was on said train?
I'm just gonna spoil it.
Please.
It was an alien. And that's again another. It's it's so funny how similar this is to Stranger Things. Like it's absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, apparently there was an alien. They were transporting this alien on this train. You don't really get to see what it is when it first when the train crash actually happens. You just see something gets out, and you're not even sure if something gets out. It's just kind of like insinuated. Um, and more throughout the movie, they slowly you get little like 25% you get to see of the alien, and then 50%, and then 75, and then 100, and
Yeah. It takes most of the movie for you to finally be able to, like, it does the movie. It's a mystery, so it's like, oh, what is it? There's an arm. Oh, and then there's another arm. Oh, and then there's some of the body from the back, and then it's shrouded in shadow and mystery.
yeah, they did a pretty good job with it. I was getting frustrated because I was like, I wanna see it.
When you finally did see it, because this is a point, um, it's a thing in the fan base, the small fan base that this movie actually has. But how did you feel about the actual alien design?
Oh, I said the alien design is cool. I like it.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Because I know there's a lot of people who that don't really like it all that much, and I don't know if I agree with them, Joe. You know? Mm-hmm.
I really like it. I like it a lot.
Ho ho. Well, that's good then. Because I also kind of really like it. I don't know why I'm doing a Mickey Mouse voice. That's probably going to be really agitating.
Yeah,
Um,
if I listened to that in the dark, I would probably be really scared.
oh, you'll never find the bodies. Ha ha.
Oh my god.
If any of my friends listen to that, they'll be like, "Oh, hey, that was a conversation we had one night on Xbox at really early in the morning." Um, yeah, so yeah, I also enjoy the alien design. It's pretty good. It's not like similar that much to anything that I think I've seen before. If anything, it kind of reminds me. Joe, did you watch Ben 10 when you were younger?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, baby. It kind of reminds me of Forearms, like that alien, because it's
Yeah.
got all the arms.
Yeah, it reminds me more of the bug from Men in Black. Like the cockroach alien type of thing.
Oh, the guy that sugar and water, that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
It's like a kind of a bug, but not really. Um, yeah, I liked the design, and I liked I thought the actual character of the alien was pretty cool, like the fact that it wasn't like, oh no, he was sent here to destroy us or whatever. Like I like how it's not just an evil monster, you know what I mean? Like they kind of thought it out.
Hmm.
And that was the other thing about this movie. I thought this was just going to be kind of like, oh, like it's a fun, retro 80s, oh, like mystery or whatever, and it's going to be funny. And I did find a lot of the parts of it funny, actually. Um, but they did a pretty good job of making this pretty emotional. And I thought it was a nice, I don't know if let me see if you agree with me. So at the beginning of the movie, they're all questioning, why in their film that they're making, why does the detective need a wife? And the director says, "Oh, because it makes it more emotional. You care about him, and you actually don't want him to die." And then throughout this movie, towards the end, I realized, oh my God, that's literally what they did in this movie.
Yeah,
They're like,
exactly.
why did they kill the mom at the beginning? Oh, because you want to feel, because it's the emotional aspect. Literally, the mom dying doesn't really add much to the story besides the emotional aspect. You know what I mean?
Right,
Um,
yeah. And
and I thought that
the
was a nice
beginning of this
parallel.
movie, yeah, it is. And the beginning of this movie, it is actually incredibly somber. I think the first shot is the shot of the Days Without Accident at the steel mill, and it's just like kind of melancholy music and a slow mo of a guy coming up in one of those little like raising machines that like electricians have when they fix telephone poles and stuff like
Cherry
that.
picker.
Cherry picker, yes, thank you. And he's just removing the number like 700 and whatever days, and he just puts up one, and you're like, oh, I'm sure that won't have any relevance on the story. And then you go to the next scene where we see Joe for the first time. Honorary Joe of the podcast. We'd love to have him. Call us. And he's just kind of sitting there on the swings in the snow, holding the locket. And there's people on the inside, and they're, it's the after reception. It's the reception of after the funeral or the wake or whatever. Um, and this is where you get introduced to. Do you remember uh, Brad Pitt bum's name?
Daynard. Mr. Daynard.
Daynard. Yeah, Mr. Daynard. He comes in his crappy little sports car, and then Joe's dad, who is the deputy of the town, kind of drags him out, and he's like, "You get out of here." Oh no, he doesn't even say you get out of here. He puts him in a police car, and he drives him to the station. Presumably, we don't see it, but he just tells his son, "I'll be home later." And this is kind of like the first hint that you get for what later informs the rest of the film. Um, this guy, the deputy, Joe's father, doesn't really know how to be a father, nor do I think he really wants to be a father right now because he just lost his wife and he doesn't know how to deal with it.
Yeah, he's definitely not handling the grief well at all.
Mm-mm.
Like I thought it was kind of like a throwaway scene, but I actually really liked it. The one when Joe comes home from school, I think it's from school, and he's like trying to find his dad. Then he finds him kind of crying his dad was crying in the bathroom, and his dad just like slams the door shut. I thought that was a really smart scene.
Yeah, because it definitely it shows you he's grieving, but he doesn't want his son to see him grieving. And I like there are different parts of the film, specifically with Joe's father, where it gave me a very interesting idea for my own kind of story because I was looking at him as a character and I was like, the deputy is an action hero from this time. Like, if you were to make a film in the late 70s, early 80s that would star like a police officer, he would be the protagonist of that story. He's an action hero. He's like a John McClane kind of character,
Big
but
time.
he doesn't know how to. Uh, what's the I should probably finish ideas in my head before I start saying them out loud.
Nah.
Only half the time. But he's an action hero, but he doesn't know how to settle down yet. Like he settled down too early, and he's still. It's like I want to say like the John Wick, but John Wick was brought back into it from something else. But he's like, I don't want to get out of it yet, or maybe he goes into it more now because he's not ready yet to emotionally deal with his son. But either way, I think he's like when I was younger, I didn't pick up on a lot of this sort of stuff. I didn't care about storytelling or all that much character drama. I just liked kids, and I was like Carrie. I was like, blow something up. Um, but actually looking into his father more, it's like, whoa, this guy is actually he's got a lot going on. Number one, in the plot of the film, and number two, just under the surface of his character.
Yeah, all the characters, even though the distribution of like character development time is definitely biased. There's like three or four that get a lot, and then everybody else just kind of gets a little bit. But even those people that get a little bit, they're all I found most of the characters pretty interesting. Like all the kids are definitely hilarious. Carrie scares the shit out of me.
Carrie is. I have a friend who's. I definitely have a Carrie in my friend group.
Scares the crap out of me. Not just like the way that he looked with like the huge braces and his like crazy looking eyes, but the fact that like the kid's crazy. He literally just his backpack is full of explosives. Like what?
It's just full of firecrackers and sparklers and all sorts of stuff. And I love when the later on in the movie when the the military guy takes it from him and opens it, and he's like, "Yeah," and then he names all of them. He's like, "Yeah, I made those," and he looks at the officer with like those crazy little eyes, and you're like, "Oh my God, this is young Michael Bay."
Yeah, that it was. This movie also reminded me a little bit of like The Sandlot. And Sandlot's not an action movie, but the whole idea of it's kind of like 70s, 80s, and group of kids and everything like that. But I love at the end of The Sandlot where they kind of were like, oh, when this person grew up, they went and did this or whatever. I was like, definitely Carrie grew up to be like a pyromaniac and like blow something up.
He's probably like a pyrotechnic specialist that works on movie sets and things like that, or he's like a demolition expert in the military. Because
You're so
after they went through,
optimistic.
yeah, I mean, I like to be. It's an optimistic ending.
See,
You
I
know,
think he went down like I think he just went crazy, and I'm like he definitely was arrested for like arson or something like that.
you think he became like a terrorist or something?
He was just doing something wild. I don't know.
Maybe that's what he did in like his late teens, early 20s, and then he was arrested like a couple of times on some lower stuff, and then someone comes along, like a wise mentor figure comes along. I'm writing a sequel spin-off series here, and he's just sort of like, I was once like you when I was younger. You're on a dark path, sonny, but I'm here to teach you the right way to be an arsonist.
Because
And then he
there's
kind of
because there's a right and wrong way.
there's a right and a wrong way to lighting things on fire. Yeah, maybe he's just like teaches Carrie how to, point his destructive tendencies to where they could be of most use. I don't know. Maybe he like shows him how to mine with dynamite or something. I don't fucking know. But anyway, like the kids are cool. Carrie, I think, is really cool. Joe, I think, is great. He has the short end of the stick for so many things because his mother just died in the beginning of the film, and then the rest of the film takes place 4 months after her death. And so his mother's dead. He is neglected a lot by his father because his father's trying to deal with his grief in his own way and is obviously not very good at doing that, much less being there for his son. And then you have what is his best friend's name, the director, if you can remember. I can't remember his name.
I can't remember the other. I can't remember Coke bottle glasses kid or the chubby kid.
Yeah, I can't remember his name, but
We'll just
the
call him
director,
chubby kid.
chubby kid. I'll call him the director because
Okay.
remember he said he hasn't leaned out yet. The lean out hasn't happened.
It's gonna
yet.
happen. The doctor said it's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen. Just give it some time. I'm just gonna call him the director. So the director, he's pretty cool too because he ends up hiring, what's her name? Dana? No. I'm so great at remembering kids' names.
Oh
Do you
my
remember her
god.
name?
I don't know. The
This
only
is
thing
gonna drive me insane.
it's
Hold up, I'm actually looking it up now because I can't handle this. I'm gonna look up Super 8 and I'm gonna hit enter. This is riveting podcast content, everybody. Take notes. This is how you do a podcast. Alright, now we click cast. Now we click cast. Internet, now we click cast. Okay, it's not wanting to. Oh, it's not loading. All right. Well, the girl in the movie, I'm just going to call her girl. There's Joe, there's Joe's dad, there's director, aka chubby kid who hasn't leaned out yet, and then there's girl.
Joe. I
Alice
got it.
Daynard.
I was about to say it's Alice.
Okay. We got it. So we got Alice Daynard. And then we have Charles. Charles is the name of the director. And then Joe and Carrie and Martin, I think, is the kid with the Coke glasses.
Yeah.
And then Preston is the other one. Preston is the one that gets shafted the most in the movie. He really only has one or two things that he does. One of which is very funny when Joe's dad returns, looking for all the kids who have gone off on their own like little adventure. And he says to Preston, he's like, Preston, you were going to tell me where my son and your friends are right now, or I swear to God, I will throw you in jail. Keeping in mind that Preston is, again, like 13 at the time. And then Preston's like, yes, sir, but also you should probably look at this first, and hands him like a tape or something, or a real film, because it's 1979, Joe. 1979.
Joe, the
Yeah.
other podcast has accents. People come here for the Northeast Philly accent and the whatever Jersey accent you have.
Yeah, I don't know, because it's certainly not Jersey Shore.
Oh, thank God.
Um, thank the Lord. But yeah, so Alice Daynard, who I think we should also talk about because she is actually someone that has quite a bit going on as well in the film, in the sense of, uh, so I mean, you get an inkling in the beginning because, whatchamacallit, Joe's dad doesn't like Mr. Daynard at all. Like, he's very hostile towards him, and Mr. Daynard later on in the film, when Alice and Joe are talking outside of the Daynard's house, he comes home and he sees him and he's like, "You out of here now." And at first, when I saw it when I was younger, because I had tiny baby brain, I was like, "Oh, he's an asshole." But watching it now, not number one because I knew more stuff, but also because I have less of a baby brain and more of a less baby brain. That's what you only have baby brain and less baby brain. Those are the only two metrics for how good your head be.
Okay,
And
yeah. I think I learned that in anatomy actually.
oh, okay, good. So I don't have to explain it. Very nice. Saves me the trouble. But that scene where he's like, "That you go, you get out of here, and you don't ever come back." You realize you're like, "Oh, this is clearly he's in pain seeing Joe because of something," and that something is that we're just gonna cut to the chase right here. That something is the fact that he also worked at the steel mill that Joe's mother worked at, and because he's a drinker, he was drinking the night before and called out of work. So Joe's mother took the shift for him instead, and that's when the accident happened. And so obviously, the deputy, Joe's father, blames him at least initially for the death of his wife, but over the course of the film, he comes to realize he and the deputy and the what did I call him? Brad Pitt bum, bummy
Yes.
Brad Pitt. I'm just gonna call him that from now on because I think it's funnier. Brad Pitt bum. Uh, they are in a situation, and Brad Pitt bum explains, and he's like, "Dude, I am very sorry. If I could go back and switch it, I would. I'm just so terribly sorry." And then you start to see action hero deputy man. He kind of softens the stone face, and he just goes, "It was an accident." He's not like, "I forgive you," but he's like, "It's an accident, and I'm acknowledging that, and this is an important moment for my character. All right, everyone, pay attention." Is everyone is everyone paying attention?
Yeah, I really like that. I wasn't sure where they were gonna go with it. I had a bunch of ideas going through my head. I was like, I had this crazy one where I was like, oh my goodness. I'm like, did like his like wife like cheat with Mr. Daynard? I'm like, was it like, or like were they like high school sweethearts or something like that? And they had like a history. Like I don't know. But I kind of like I thought that was a lot more emotional. The fact that he was supposed to be at work. I thought that was a really good storytelling element. And the fact that it bothers Alice so much as well is it just makes the relationship between Alice and Joe that much better. Um, and yeah, this movie felt super fast, even though I think it was like 2 hours long or like an hour and 45. It felt way faster to me, and I was really impressed with how at the beginning I was like, oh, this is just kind of gonna be like a fun movie, whatever. But I did kind of, I did come to care about the characters a bit, and like, um, I don't know, it was pretty. Towards the end, it got pretty emotional. I really liked it.
Yeah, it's a wonderful little alien movie that is really more of just a I guess like a drama of sorts, and it's the inter-character dynamics that really make up the heart and soul of the film. And in the spirit of Spielberg and just good film making in general or storytelling in general, that's really all you kind of need for something like that. Um, I know the way the kids talk, because when I saw this movie, I was it came out in 2011. I don't
10
think I
years
saw it
ago.
in.
Holy
Yeah, it
crap.
came out 10 years ago. That's crazy. But when I
So
saw
we
it,
were like 11. We were like
yeah,
11 years old.
11, 12, I remember seeing it in middle school. And you know how you are in middle school. You're learning. If you're anything like me, you've recently learned, all right, I can curse a lot more than I thought I was able to at home, unless you had like cool parents and your cool parents were like, yeah, I'll teach you all the curse words at the age of 5 or some shit. But you're learning how to curse. You're learning a little bit more about sexuality and things like that. Relationships are starting up. And the way that all these friends interact with each other is exactly the way that me and all my friends interact with each other. You shoot the shit with each other. You make fun of each other. You always have each other's backs, even though no one has the emotional security to be like, I got your back, bro. I love you. You're my homie. Um, but that you can clearly tell they all really do care about each other, especially in like the two instances when um, I forgot Charles. That's his name. When Charles and Joe are having that little tiff over Alice because Charles invited her to be a part of the movie because he liked her, but clearly Alice likes Joe, and Joe very much likes Alice, that sort of a thing. They have a fight for a bit, but then once they've aired their grievances, it gets better very quickly. Also because it's the first time they're seeing an alien on a film, and they're like, "Holy shit, what's that?" But other than that, yeah, the war scene at the end when Coke Coke lens glasses kid gets his leg shattered by an explosion, and then Charles stays behind with him, and the kids switch off pairings because for the most part it's been Charles and Joe have been like the main duo of the boys, and then Alice has also been like the other girl there. When they switch off and Charles is left behind with Coke Can Kid and Carrie goes with Joe, it didn't feel jarring like we were missing out on a better dynamic. It just felt like it was another one of the friends. They all work really well together.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It was really natural. And that little like fight that Charles and Joe had was like perfect. I thought that was super super realistic. Um, yeah, that was a great depiction of that. And yeah, all the relationships are good. Everything, like it didn't blow me away. That was the negative thing I was gonna say at the beginning. I was like, this movie didn't blow me away. I didn't think it was amazing or anything like that, but I did enjoy watching it, and it did a lot of good things. Um, maybe when it was released, it was kind of original. You know what I mean? But seeing it now after seeing like Stranger Things and stuff like that, I'm like, oh, it's one of these stories. Um,
Yeah. It's another one of these things. Yeah, I don't think it was insanely original when it came out, because it was very much. I remember I did a little bit of research for this. I always do a tiny bit of research for these, but
Instead
in
of
that
doing
little
his
bit of
homework.
research, instead of doing my exactly, because why do homework when you can do
Can't get the kid to do a research paper anytime until the night before it's due. But he'll
until the
do a
night
research
before
or the morning. But he'll
or the
do
morning of?
research. But he'll do research for the Cup of Joe podcast.
Yeah, it's not that. See, the thing is, I don't have to write like an annotated bibliography, Joe. I can just say stuff on the internet. Um, but yeah, so I did a tiny bit of research into it, and it was very much supposed to be a throwback to the fit like the older Steven Spielberg films, with the most obvious influence being E.T. And I personally really like it. Um, I think it is to me the superior ET movie, as I'm pretty sure I said earlier. You've seen ET, right?
Oh yeah, I actually this past summer I saw E.T. at a drive-in. I saw E.T. and Back to the Future at a drive-in. It was like 80s night or something. And
That
seeing
is a
that,
wonderful.
oh,
That's awesome. That's a wonderful combo.
So cool seeing that at a drive-in during the summertime.
Wait, Joe.
What's up?
Imagine E.T. in the DeLorean.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that would have been pretty sick. It was, yeah, doing it in my Honda Civic was a bit different when all the country people pulled up in their pickup trucks.
You're just dwarfed by all the pickup trucks.
But like they had it all set up. Like these people, with these pickup trucks, they had like like the mattress topper that we get
Yeah.
for like school. They would lay
Yeah,
that in
yeah.
their truck bed, and then they'd have like pillows and stuff, and it was just like a giant bed. I mean, it's called a truck bed, but like then you had me with like trying to like angle my hatchback of my Honda Civic, trying to make sure it's not blocking the screen from anybody. I'm trying to like set up pillows, make it comfy, and it's just it was all right. But yes, I've
You're not a
seen
driving
E.T.
veteran, Joe.
No, no, but I like it. But E.T. I have seen. You know what? I don't know. It's tough for me. I love E.T. as a classic. I actually really, really like the movie. But Super 8 had a lot of good modern stuff, like great soundtrack, good comedy. I didn't. E.T. is not that funny of a movie.
No, not really. It's very funny if you're a like young kid and you're like, oh, little girl screaming, and then oh, ET screaming, and then oh, everyone's screaming. Yeah, haha, funny, funny joke. This had way more humor that you could actually age with and understand more. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Also, Joe, this is the part where I get real close to the mic because Joe, you know how I feel about Dutch angles, right?
You love a good Dutch angle.
That's the thing, Joe. This movie does Dutch angles, but I love them in this movie. Isn't
Really?
that weird?
That is
Yes.
so
And
weird.
yeah, just real quick, I just think it's because because a Dutch angle, just in general, it's supposed to be used to show something is not right. Like either a character feels ill and it's like the camera's tilting to show that they're not correct or like their perspective, or in this movie's case, they show Dutch angles a lot after Carnage. So the scene where the sheriff gets taken by the alien, and then a couple people come walking out to, or the store worker guy who has a Walkman, and it's a haha funny reference to the 80s. He comes walking on out, and it's the Dutch angle that kind of swoops down and then tilts into a Dutch angle, and then it cuts away. I think it works there because number one, it's the confusion and the craziness that you're like, whoa, what's going on? But also the movement helps so much, like starting normal and then the slow tilt in towards it being a Dutch angle and pushing in on frame. Mwah, mwah, so nice. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I remember that scene, and yeah, that was definitely a good one. But yeah, I find that really funny for this movie. You like the Dutch angles,
Maybe I'm just a
but
shill.
but yeah, I don't know which one I would pick, E.T. or this. And I mean, I think it honestly depends. Like for some reason, I think E.T. is a great like summertime movie, um, but oh boy, I don't know. I would. I'd say they're pretty equal. ET's got the classic factor to it, the retro factor, in a sense that it was actually made a long time ago. But Super 8's got the modern humor, the better quality equipment, and all that stuff. So I put them on par with each other.
Okay, okay, I can respect that. That's good.
And
And then like out of 10, how much?
I have it written down. I give it a 7.
Okay, okay. I would give it a. Uh, Wait, Joe,
I know what you're gonna say already, Joe. I've been waiting the whole podcast for you to say it.
I'm gonna give it a Super 8.
Boo.
And he does it again! I didn't even actually know what I was gonna give it, and then I was like, I said, maybe I'd give it like a 7.5, and then I looked up at my notes, and I was like 8, and I was like, I'd probably give it. Oh, I'm gonna give it a Super 8.
I was
Yeah,
really
I'd give
waiting
this
for
film a
you to say
Super
it the
8.
whole time.
No, I
Um,
had no idea. I love that you knew that I was gonna do it though. We have that special Joe
Tel- 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 Telomeres.
we have special Joe telomeres.
We never age.
Nope, never. Joe, if you would so kindly, what will be next week's movie?
How mad would you be if I told you I didn't pick out a movie yet?
Not terribly mad.
I
'Cause we
picked
can
out a
always-
movie. I
Oh,
picked out a
okay.
movie. Don't worry. Don't
I was actually preparing myself for you not to pick out a movie.
worry. Yeah, so I picked out a movie, and Joe, I gotta be honest with you. It took me like 40 minutes to pick out this movie. There was a whole process of multiple tabs on my computer. Lists were made, generators were used. I thought about making an algorithm. It was a whole thing. But after some good 40 minutes of deliberation, um, I decided on a movie that neither of us have seen, and I know
Oh,
this.
oh,
Um, yeah, and we're getting back to the anime, baby. What is this? The next episode is gonna be episode 16. About we're at the halfway mark to 20, um, and we're doing another Makoto Shinkai film.
oh boy.
It's called The Place Promised in Our Early Days.
Oh, okay. I'm excited going back to the Shinkai stuff.
Yeah, I wanted to do
I'm
an
ready.
anime movie, but I was like, oh, what do I want to do? I'm like, do I want to do Studio Ghibli? Do I want to do something else? Do I want to do something we've seen before, we haven't seen? I'm like, but I kind of want to do a Makoto Shinkai film. And I was like, you know what? I'm like, at the beginning, at the first episode of this, volume 2, I said I eventually wanted to watch a Makoto Shinkai film that neither of us has seen, and we're doing it. And I'm excited because I remember seeing this movie on Crunchyroll, like in high school, and being like, "Oh, that movie looks cool," and then I just never watched it. I think I watched 5 centimeters per second before it because somebody recommended that over it. But yeah, I'm excited to watch this. We're getting back to the
Okay.
animes.
Getting back into the animes. All right, so nice little clap there for you. This has been the Joe and Joe's take on Super 8. If you enjoy, drop a like. If you have your own opinion, do a comment in the doobly doo. That's a thing from Mother's Basement. I don't want to steal that. And yeah, I think that should be it. Be sure to subscribe, do all that normal and good stuff, and we will see you next week with The Place Promised in Our Dreams. Yeah,
Early days, you were
early
so
days. I was so
close.
close. My brain don't work half the time. Love you guys. Mwah.
Mwah.